Hello, beautiful people. Let me show you how to make the healthiest granola ever, sweetened with dates, not the regular honey and sugar. So you can either make this on the stove top or on your oven. So this is the one I made on my oven, and then this smaller one is the one I made on my stove top. So even if you don't have oven, you can make granola, guys. All you need is your rolled oats and a fire to heat it up, and then a sweetener of like dates that I use. So I have 5 cups of rolled oats, and I have quarter cup of raisin, a quarter cup of cashew nut, half cup of almond, and 1 cup of coconut flakes. These unsweetened coconut flakes, quarter cups of pumpkin seed, and 1¼ cup of soaked dates. So it's deseeded, the stone has been removed, and then I have a quarter cup of dried dates. So this date will be chopped. So these are all the ingredients. So you can add more depending on what you have. So I will be blending my dates, because I will be blending it into paste, because that is what I will be using to sweeten it. I'm not using honey, I'm not using sugar. Please do well not to use honey. Honey, when heated up or added to hot food, becomes toxic to the body. So for my almond, I will be chopping it with my knife. I want to chop it into tiny pieces. Okay, so you can also divide it into two. Use your knife, carefully divide it into two if you don't want to chop it into tiny pieces. You can also leave it whole the way it is. Just add it to your granola and then bake it. So but I will be chopping mine into tiny bits so it can dry quickly and it doesn't take too long in the oven. So after chopping my almond, I'll also be chopping my cashew nut. So cashew nut, cashew nut has already been dried, has been baked already. So you can also decide not to chop it. You can also leave it whole. And then this is my dried date. So I'll be cutting it into tiny bits. You don't want to leave this big chunk inside your granola. So I'll be cutting it. Now you can cut it bigger, you can cut it smaller, but I'm cutting my tiny. So I just want everything to have almost the same shape. Okay, so now this is my granola, and then I'll add my blended dates. This is my date paste. I already showed you how to make date paste, syrup, and then date powder. So this is my date paste. You mix it with the granola. So you use your hand. If your hand is clean, you can use your hand. And then I added vanilla extracts. I said extract, not flavor. Flavor has nothing in it. And then I added cinnamon. Just add a little bit of it, and then you can add your sea salt. So I added sea salt to taste, just little. You don't, and these are optional. You don't have to. It's not compulsory if you don't want to feel the taste of salt inside, but it's just little. And then I'll add my raisin to the bowl, and then I'll add my pumpkin seed to the bowl, and then I'll add my dates, my tiny date, and then my almond nut. Add everything together, and then I'll mix it. So if you have other seed like sunflower seed, like hemp seed, some people add chia seed, and then you can add it up. So me, I didn't add the cashew nut and the coconut flakes because they're already baked there. You can see the coconut flakes already brown, so I don't want it too brown. Okay, the same thing with the cashew nut. So I'll be adding it later when it's almost done, so it won't be too brown. But you can add it if you want to. It doesn't matter. So it's up to you. So get your parchment paper on a baking tray, and then you pour your the granola, the mix everything, you mix oats. Remember, you're using rolled oats, please, not quaker oats. Quick cooking oats won't come out the way it is. Okay, so you spread it on your parchment paper on your baking tray, and then you keep it aside, and then I'll put it in an oven, and then the rest I divided it into two, and then the rest I will put it in my if you have a skillet, if you have a frying pan, please do well to put it, and then on a low heat. You don't do this on a high heat. Okay, so once you put it on a low heat, just spread the granola and then allow it to heat up a little. So you don't start turning it immediately. So you allow it. Once you notice that the pan is already hot, you can now start stirring it, can start turning it. Please don't leave this thing. If you leave it, it will start burning. So you just keep turning. You keep turning on a dry pan, no oil. Remember, I didn't add oil to my granola. If you want to add oil at all, please add coconut oil. Don't add olive oil. No matter what you do, olive oil, once it's heated up, it becomes saturated fat. Okay, so coconut oil is the best oil to use when baking or when anything you want to add in the oven. So this is my stove made granola. So if even if you don't have oven, guys, don't let anything stop you from making granola. So even if you don't have any of the seed, the only thing you have is date and oats, please, rolled oat, please go ahead and make your granola. So you don't need to add all the oats, seeds and everything if you can't afford it or you are not able to lay hands on it. Oats alone, and then your dates paste, and then you do it on your stove top. You have your granola, you can use it for whatever you want to use. So this is the one I'm making in an oven, and I brought it out from the oven just to turn it. So every now and then you bring it out, make sure the oven is not too hot, okay, so it doesn't get burned. And then I'll turn it, and then now I can now add my cashew nut because it's almost ready. And then I'll add my coconut flakes, and then I'll put it back. I'll mix it, put it back into the oven, and then I'll bring it out once I know that it's almost ready, okay. So you do this when it is almost ready, but if you want to do it at the beginning, you can add everything at the beginning and then put it in an oven for it to cook, right? So this is what I have, and then I brought it out. So this is the one I made on the stove pot. You can see how dry this thing is, so crunchy and so dry, so tasty, you can hardly know. So the difference between the oven and the stove and the one on the stove top is that now the one in the oven was caking. So if you like caking granola, like I like it when it's caking, so I just pick one. No, remember, we didn't use any caking agent, so the date makes it to cake. The one on the stove top didn't cake because I kept stirring it. So this is my unsweetened tiger nut milk. That is what I'm using to eat it as cereal, breakfast cereal. You can use your parfait, you can use anything, even as snack. Please let me know how it turned out. If you're able to try it, leave a comment, like and share. Thank you.